Two types of studies are common in this category. First, results of some bivariate correlational studies have led researchers to conclude that father's love is more strongly associated than mother's love with specific child behaviors such as those noted subsequently. Second, the 1980s and especially the 1990s saw a proliferation of studies using multiple regression and SEM. As these analytic procedures became more commonplace, it also became more common to discover that the influence of father love explains a unique independent portion of the variance in specific child outcomes, detailed subsequently, over and above a portion of variance explained by mother love. Studies in this category tend to deal with one or more of the following 6 issues among children, adolescents, and young adults. A. Personality and psychological adjustment problems, Amato, 1994 and many more. B. Conduct problems, Chen, Liu, and Li, 2000 etc. C. Delinquency, Andry, 1962. D. Mental illness, Barrera and Garrison-Jones, 1992 etc. E. Substance abuse, Brook and Brook, 1988 etc. And F. Psychological health and well-being, Amato, 1994. We briefly review an example of each issue. Research by Dominy et al. 2000 illustrates the first issue. In this work, the authors studied the relation between perceived childhood experiences of parental, maternal and paternal acceptance rejection and the presence or absence of binge eating disorder, BED, among a group of 113 women. 83 of these women were obese. Of these, 32 suffered from BED. 30 women, however, neither were obese nor had an eating disorder. The authors found that women with BED perceived their fathers to be significantly more rejecting than did women in either of the other two groups. In addition, the women with BED perceived their fathers to be significantly more rejecting than their mothers. A 2-year longitudinal study of 258 6th-grade students, at time 1, in the People's Republic of China serves to illustrate the second issue. Dealing with conduct problems. In this study, Chen et al. 2000 found that paternal, but not maternal warmth at time 1 was negatively associated with youth's disruptive aggression toward peers at time 2. In addition, they found that paternal, but not maternal warmth was positively associated with children's academic performance and social competence as judged by teachers. An older work by Andry, 1962, illustrates the third type of study, the link between paternal and maternal rejection and delinquency. Here Andry found in a matched sample of 80 delinquent boys 11 through 15 years of age that the great majority of delinquents felt rejected by their fathers, but not necessarily by their mothers. Non-delinquents, on the other hand, tended to feel loved by both parents. Of special interest in Andry's study is the fact that fathers as well as mothers in the two groups tended to corroborate the youth's perceptions of parenting. Research by Rona and Brothers, 1999, illustrates the fourth issue, dealing with the link between parenting and mental illness. These authors examined the relation between perceived parental, paternal and maternal acceptance rejection and self-reported psychological adjustment in a sample of 17 women diagnosed as suffering from borderline personality disorder. This group was compared with a control sample of 18 non-clinical women. Results showed that women in the clinical group tended to perceive qualitatively more paternal rejection than acceptance in their families of origin. Perceived maternal rejection was also elevated somewhat, but not to the point where these women experienced qualitatively more maternal rejection than acceptance. And, as is generally true throughout much of America, Rona, 1986, 2001, most of the women in the non-clinical control group tended to perceive substantial paternal as well as maternal love and overall acceptance. Research by Campo and Rona, 1992, illustrates the fifth issue, dealing with the relation between parenting and substance abuse. These researchers studied 40 drug abusers in relation to a control sample of 40 non-abusers. On the average, the polydrug-addicted group, both males and females, had experienced qualitatively more paternal rejection than acceptance before the onset of serious drug use as adolescents. The substance abusers had also experienced significant love withdrawal at the hands of their mothers, but not to the point of having experienced qualitatively more rejection than acceptance. Participants in the non-abuse group, on the other hand, had experienced substantial paternal as well as maternal love and acceptance in their families of origin. Discriminant function analysis showed that perceived paternal acceptance rejection, self-reported psychological adjustment, perceived maternal acceptance rejection, and level of education, in that order of importance, predicted with 91.2% accuracy who among the 80 participants were drug abusers versus non-abusers. Perceptions of father love and love withdrawal were overwhelmingly the best single predictor. Finally, Amato's 1994 work serves to illustrate the sixth issue. Here, Amato showed that father love is sometimes implicated to a greater extent than mother love in adult offspring's overall psychological health and well-being. Drawing from telephone interviews with a national sample of 471 young adults, he found that perceived closeness to fathers for both sons and daughters made a unique contribution, over and above the contribution made by perceived closeness to mothers, to adult offspring's happiness, life satisfaction, and low psychological distress, i.e., overall psychological well-being. In the author's words, regardless of the quality of the mother-child relationship, the closer adult offspring were to their fathers, the happier, more satisfied, and less distressed they reported being. Page 1039.